So after 5 years of renting this apartment, I will have lost nothing. How? Let me explain.
We currently live in a 28-story building. We have a 1,200 square foot apartment that's 34 pyong, and 1 pyong is about 3.3 meters squared or 35 square feet. In your city, how tall are the apartment buildings?
So first of all, we have to establish how does an apartment get built in Korea. There's 3 ways an apartment will be built in Korea. Number 1, 조합원. 조합원 is when a company gathers people together. The people are 조합원. They collect money from those people, buy the land, make the building, and that apartment is the 조합원's apartment. The second one is a big company like Hyundai or LG comes in, buys the land, makes the apartment, and will sell the apartments to the people. The third is more of like a government-funded program. So the government helps the company and gathers like 10% of the cost from the people. They build, when you move in, you pay 10%, and the 80% you can have via loan or your money, and then you can buy your apartment. What's different is the way that they rent the apartments. So I'm not talking about buying an apartment because when you buy an apartment, it's yours. It's just like buying a car. It's all the same. The difference is the renting systems, and there's 3 different types of renting systems. Number 1, you rent from a company for 5 years, and then you have the option to buy after the 5 years. Number 2 is you rent for 2 years from a personal owner. And number 3, pay rent month to month. Now, paying rent month to month, that money is gone. Bye-bye. Another option that's popular these days is if a person owns land, they build a 2 or 3 story building and will rent those out to the people. The contract would be simple enough, I think. Pay your rent, take care of the place, follow the rules, la-di-da. What's different is the deposit. The deposit in America is collected, so if the tenant doesn't pay or they damage the property, the landlord has security money. However, in America, you may or may not get this money back at the end. One apartment I lived in America like 20 years ago, the deposit was about $800. I didn't get this money back. There were some scratches on the floor, maybe on the wall, some cleanup things. So they said that it was expensive and they kept the money. I didn't get that money back. I don't know, it was like 20 years ago, so that could be different. What's it like now where you live? How does it work for you? How is it so different in Korea? Let's talk about that. The difference in the renting is the deposit. Key money, jeonse. The jeonse is anywhere from 50 to 80% of the market value of the apartment. That money is put down cash up front for living in the apartment. The tenant would live in the apartment for 5 years rent-free. Meanwhile, the landlord can use that money for investments or gaining interest or whatever, and that interest gained is the landlord's gain. At the end of the contract, all of that money, that jeonse, comes back to the customer, thus rent-free. But any investment gains or interest during that time is not the renter's gained money. However, as I am renting, all my income is my income to keep. I can budget easier because I don't have to make a big monthly rent payment. The flip side is I have to have a considerable amount of money, cash, up front to be in the house. And what this kind of leads to is moving a lot. People move constantly in this country. It's really funny. I have students all the time that are moving. Last year, I lost a few students because they moved to a different complex and it was too far for them to walk over to the academy. The family wants to be in a different apartment or different location, so they move. But then when they build those complexes, those 1차, 2차, 3차, sometimes they build a new school there as well. So students will move schools. The benefit here is that you get a new house every 5 years. So is this a good system? What's it like where you live? Are there changes that you think should be made to the renting system? Well, that's it for me today. Thanks for joining me on this talk. Please comment, let me know down below what you think. As always, subscribe if you're not, like if you do, and drink coffee if you can. Have a good day.